In this demo, I'll show how the UiPath Apple Numbers activities can read and update a numbers file end-to-end. We'll scan inventory sheets for multiple warehouses, flag items that need reordering, and generate a purchase order table as output. We'll also apply specific multipliers whenever needed. We start with a numbers document that contains the data we have to process. We save its location to a variable. Before we process inventory, we prepare an output data table that will hold the purchase order lines for us to save it later. Next, we load the numbers file and retrieve the list of worksheets it contains. As you can see here, this is one of the activities from the UiPath Numbers activity package. We then read a few configuration values from a settings area using the read cell activity. Each configuration value is stored in a variable so it can be reused in the calculations later. These settings act like simple business rules, such as multipliers or buffers used to compute reorder quantities. After the configuration is loaded, we move into the main loop over the worksheets. For each worksheet, we first check the name to confirm it represents a warehouse sheet. Once a warehouse sheet is identified, we read its inventory range into memory using the read range activity. From that range, we iterate through the rows that represent individual items. For each item row, we compare the current stock value with the reorder point value. If stock is below the reorder point, the item needs to be reordered. When an item needs reordering, we calculate the reorder quantity and append a new row to the purchase order data table with the item details and the calculated quantity. We update each line's status accordingly. If an item does not need reordering, we write OK in the same status column. At this stage, the purchase order table is ready to be written back to the file using the final write range activity. Now I'll run the automation using the Debug on Local Machine option to make sure we can access the local macOS Numbers application. You can see the workflow processing the warehouse sheets one by one. For each warehouse, it reads the inventory range and evaluates the rows against the reorder point. As it finds items to reorder, it updates the status column in that warehouse sheet. At the same time, it keeps collecting purchase order lines into the output data table. Let's speed things up as it processes all warehouses. When the workflow finishes processing the last warehouse, it writes the complete purchase order table to the purchase order worksheet in a single write operation. At the end, we have updated warehouse sheets with clear statuses, each sheet updated strictly according to our business logic. Every item row is evaluated the same way, using the stock and reorder point values from the worksheet. Finally, it produces a consolidated list of all items that need to be reordered across all warehouses. Thank you for watching.